So
time for the JV Sports Show Super Fan of the Week.
There we go, Super Fan of the Week. James, do you know what this song is?
I know. I've probably heard it at Macaroni Grill a time or two,
Yeah,
but I
there
couldn't
you
tell
go.
you off the top of my head.
This is the Italian national anthem. So everyone please rise in honor of the Italian flag and the Italian national anthem and the rich culture. And so on the line is my father, Super Fan of the Week, Pasquale D'Aliesio. Papa D.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so we brought you on. We talked to you this week because there's somebody that you always talk about, or not always, but a lot. About 25, 26 years ago, you won a national championship, right?
Yeah.
In which sport?
In 1992.
Okay, in which sport did you win that national championship?
On Bocce Ball.
Bocce Ball, right. And so right around that time, we had a special guest over at the house that wanted to do a little sports challenge, and he came over. You have a bocce court in the backyard, so you guys played a little bit. Do you remember how bad you beat him?
Oh, yeah, 13-3.
13-3. You gave him 3 points, huh? You spotted him 3 on the front end?
Yeah, you advised me to give him some points.
Yeah, well, we wanted to make sure it got on the air. So who was it that came over with his film crew and filmed that game?
Yeah, but what happened to Gil Tyree?
Right, Gil Tyree came over.
Yeah.
You guys, you remember, well, you moved to Phoenix, James, in what, 99? So I don't know, it was around the time he maybe left Phoenix. But do you remember Gil?
I've heard the name a lot of times, for sure.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, of course you did. We used to watch him every Friday night. I had football games, and he would do a thing called Skylights, where he would land on a field. He was the one that started it in Phoenix, Skylights. The helicopter, Channel 3 helicopter, land near the field. He'd come over, cover the game of the week. He'd do a couple of those over the course of Friday night.
What's he up to nowadays, Vince?
Exactly. Where is Gil now? So that'll lead us into our speed dial segment that we're going to do about halfway through the show. We're going to have Gil Tyree on. I don't think he's been on air in Phoenix in years. So we're going to find out what he's been up to, how he's doing, and the fact that my dad still idolizes him. So Pop, thanks for coming on this morning, and we'll talk to you a little bit later. I'll see you on Monday. And how's Mom doing?
She's up and down.
Okay. All right. Well, okay.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
We cannot do nothing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
hang in there, Mama D.
Thank you for coming on,
okay,
and I'll talk to you a little bit later, okay? And listen for Gil.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. D'Aliesio. Pasquale D'Aliesio there, father of Vince D'Aliesio here.
That's it. Anyway, okay.
Hi, this is Les Peterson. I'm the mayor of Carefree, Arizona. You are listening to the JV Sports Show. Stay tuned.
Long Realty is the go-to for all your real estate needs. Local buyer looking in the West Valley? Call our trusted partners at Long. Out-of-state friends looking for a home in the beautiful Valley of the Sun? Call...
Little Amsterdam from, one of the greatest rock bands of all time, played by two of the greatest Saturday morning sports radio shows of all time.
Hey, how about that?
Yeah, right. Okay. Anyway, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here, James and Vince and James, JV Sports Show. This is our speed dial segment. So, as you heard a little earlier in the segment, my dad called in, and he wanted to find out what in the heck happened to a good friend of his about 25 years ago. Good friend of ours, veteran Valley sports legend, sports broadcasting legend, Gil Tyree from Channel 3, came over and played a little bocce ball with my dad. My dad tried to keep it a little close initially just to save face, but unfortunately the gap got opened up a little bit, and he ended up winning pretty handily. But Gil, good morning.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
I know
How you guys doing today? Thanks for having me on your program.
Oh my goodness, we are so excited. You know what? This guy was my idol growing up as a kid. I mean, who'd have thought 25 years later? Look at us now, James. And back then, I looked at you, Gil, when I was in high school, and you would do that skylights thing. That was, you talk about something that wasn't done. You jumped in a helicopter and you'd go to high school games on Friday night and feature them and make kids feel important, and they are, and you did a great job with it. I mean, how'd that get started?
Well, I appreciate you guys saying that. That was a wonderful experience. I mean, I look back at the many guys that we flew with, the photographers, and of course the pilots, Bruce Hafner and Scott Barbank, the late Scott Barbank. There were just so many great people that were part of putting that together. And we had a wonderful time doing it. I mean, we would canvass the valley. We'd go from the East Valley to the West Valley. We'd go everywhere, and it was a happening. It was a Friday night designed to make, and what you just said, Vince, was so apropos, is that we wanted to make high school football special. We wanted every aspect of high school football to be special. We wanted the players, the coaches, student body, fans, everybody, parents, administrators, you name it. That's what we did, and it was a joy. It was a happening, and what's even so special now is, as you said, 25 years later, I still hear from many people about it, and just to see the renaissance of high school football in the great state of Arizona, particularly in the Valley and in the Phoenix area, we have seen so many Division I prospects now because of the showcasing of the talent. It's a different world now in terms of how we look at high school football. But I like to think that, the people like Todd Heap, the people like Terrell Suggs, the people like, Mike Mitchell, the list goes on and on. These guys played a major role in what we're seeing now. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yes, indeed. Gil, talk a little bit about, in this new day of technology and everything's instantaneous, and it's kind of easy to provide a lot of this coverage. Everybody's got their phone out. They're always tuned in, unfortunately, to the detriment of society, sometimes not really tuned into each other like we should be anymore, but we got to get better at that. But back then, when you were covering it, it wasn't like that. Talk about some of the challenges of actually bringing that coverage to the people.
Well, the thing about it is we were dealing, and I'm going to tell you how this has really changed over the years. We would have to call these schools, the various schools, to let them know, where we were going to land a helicopter. They wanted to make sure that the area, the guide wires, where we would land would be, so we wouldn't become a distraction, and more importantly, we wouldn't become a hazard. Because they didn't want us to be a distraction of what's going on. They were excited about the coverage, but they just didn't want something to happen that would take away from the football game. So we had to call the principals and get permission. We'd have to call Sky Harbor, Harbor FAA, find out, and that duty was assigned to the helicopter pilot, whether it be Jerry Clifton, whether it be Bruce Hafner, whether it be Scott Barbank, and they would have to research that, and we would have to do like 3 schools, okay? And we'd have to do it like in advance. Now you can Google it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You can map
instantaneous.
You can get your GPS down and
That's right.
find it. You don't have to do all of that. And the other thing is, when we would let the coaches, we would have to get permission from the coaches in terms of their rosters. The rosters, we would have each school, we would call each school and make sure they would have a runner to give us a game program, so we would make sure we would have everyone's numbers. Now, you go online, you can get the lineup right away because every school has a website. So all of that being said, that shows you where we are now, and let's take it even a step further. There was a time where we had to basically tape players. If they were recruited by different colleges, they would call us at the TV station. They would ask us, can we get videotape of our plays, certain plays? We would be able to do that. We would charge them a very nominal fee. Now they can do it themselves, put it on Huddle, and immediately there's a portal there for a high school football coach to go in and review the video. So all of that being, we've seen a big change in just how the game is. And a lot of that is because of the coverage. And I'm not tooting our horn and say that we were the first, but I will say this, that Skylights was the premier high school football program in the state of
Loved
Arizona,
it.
bar none. I know
Loved it.
that things are going on now, in terms of, I saw where Coop is going to retire, and everybody talks about what Channel 12 has done, and that's all well and good. But they were following us,
Yeah.
okay?
This
And they basically tapped in to the audience we had, and we had Domino's Pizza, so the marketing aspect of it, we would have the bands come, the winning team's bands would come to our studio at 7th Avenue, on 7th Avenue, right below Bethany Home.
right.
And what they would do, they would come in and they would play live on our show. And we would serve pizza to the parents. We would serve pizza to the bands. And we wanted to make the bands feel special, to make it a whole high school experience.
So the question I have for you, Gil, is this, and this is something my dad. And by the way, do you remember coming over and playing my dad?
Oh, do I remember? Your play-by-play was accurate.
Doing it back
then,
Vince.
Your dad. Listen, your dad is. I'm gonna tell you what. I love him as the day is long. He was so gracious to us that day. We came out. We shot the video. I mean, I knew absolutely nothing about Bocce Ball.
There you go.
I knew absolutely nothing. But when I came away, not only did we create a friendship during my time in Arizona, in the Valley, but we also created an opportunity for a sport like Bocce Ball to be profiled, and more importantly, people. You don't know how many letters I got about that.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're right. It got really, really bad.
So that's kind of
was great.
Yeah.
He was gracious. He was very gracious.
No, he was, and he still talks about you to this day. But that's kind of the impetus of our show, is that we cover small college. We're the only show in the Valley to exclusively focus our energies on the junior college, the NAIA, the NCAA Division II and III in the state of Arizona, as well as potentially in the rest of the country. But also the fact that the smaller sports, that we're talking about. So the question I have for you is this. What is Gil Tyree doing now, and how do we get you back to Phoenix?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, I'm very thankful that you would say that, and Vince and James, I really appreciate it. Right now, I'm in Philadelphia.
Okay.
I was a caregiver for my mom. And my wife and I, we moved here and basically took care of her. She passed away 2 years ago.
Oh.
Then I had my sister, who my younger sister had a stroke. She has aphasia. So I have been a caregiver.
Wow.
But I have kept myself in tune to what's been going on in terms of sports and what have you, doing some stuff with the high school teams here in the Philadelphia area. And, I miss Arizona tremendously. I really, really do. And there's not a day that goes by when I don't think about everybody out there. In fact, I would talk when Brian Colangelo was the general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers. We would talk a lot about what's going on, and I keep in tune with some of the guys like David Griffin, now with New Orleans and with the Pelicans. And there are a lot of kids that I still maintain a relationship with over the years, in terms of whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram or what have you. But I missed, and I'll tell you one thing. I was very happy to see Juan Roque and Dysart play in their high school football game last week. And he put it on Facebook.
Oh, sure.
And I was so excited. They played the Washington Rams. And, all of these schools, all of these guys that are coaches now were players when I was doing Skylight.
Yep.
And it's so refreshing and it's wonderful to see. But Vince, I would love to get back out there. I really would.
Let James and I negotiate that deal for you. We'll only take James, maybe 49%. Yeah.
Yeah, 49-51 either way.
Definitely. You can be my agent. You can be my agent any day of the week.
That's already a done deal, Gil.
Listen, we can build bocce ball courts all around the.
That's it.
Hey, in the last minute we have here with Mr. Tyree, give us your opinion on the growth of small college sports here in the Valley, specifically with Grand Canyon starting out very small. Now they're D1 with all their athletic programs.
I think the sky's the limit for Grand Canyon, and I know that the vision that Jerry Colangelo has, and being involved in that program and seeing it from standpoint of what they've done from a basketball standpoint, and their baseball has always been something that people are proud of. But football is on the landscape for them. I see that, but here's the thing I'm really concerned about, guys. It's what we're doing now in terms of junior college.
Yep.
And the lack of respect for junior college football and what they've done in terms of dumbing it down. And that was your feeder program all the way through. Yes.
Gil, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Gil. We love you. We're going to have you back on. And thank you so much, Gil Tyree. You're like my idol. We got to have you back.
Right back on the JV Sports Show.
This is the most shocking story we've ever heard. I mean, like, no.
The Dan Patrick Show on its new home, KDUS AM 1060, airing weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. Get those radios locked in.